Now return to Let's Play Heart of the Forest, Lost in the Woods, Chapter 4. We are of unknown auspice, unknown tribe. We are currently... Oh, we're currently in our wolf form. Okay. The heart of the forest. The morning smelled of fir, earth, and the forest. Over the gentle snoring that filled the warm space under the low-hanging branches of an old spruce tree, I heard a squirrel. I was hungry. I went outside. Stepping over the sleeping forms, I made my way outside. Alone, hiding in the tall grass, I sniffed around. The sky was bright, and the forest around me was dark and full of interesting smells. High in the trees, birds yelled about status, sex, and violence. Memories started to come back. Something opened in my mind and memories started flooding back. The run through the night, the bite, the strange dream about being a werewolf. A creature stirred in bushes nearby, a tall, dark silhouette, a strangely familiar smell. Tensed up. I tensed up and watched the human as they looked around. "Maia, there you are," they said when they noticed me. It was time to get out of there. I spasmed. Suddenly, a feeling like cramp or a spasm surged through me, and everything changed. I was Hamid, the human form. I hit the ground with my bare ass. Colors exploded. The morning breeze suddenly became cold, and I shivered. I looked up. Confused, I looked at the person approaching me. Pat is at least friendly. Don't mind the cold, it's a common after effect. Pat handed me a bundle of clothes. Without the rite of dedication, they won't survive the change, so be careful. Huh? I took the bundle. I snatched the bundle and started pulling the clothes on. Sneakers, loose-fitting jeans, a hoodie with a unicorn. They fit perfectly. I thought about the previous night. When I was raging through the forest, how differently I experienced the world through the wolf senses, and about the discomfort and confusion of changing shape. So I was a werewolf. We are now master of change. What does that do? We are highly spiritual, not very brave. Interesting. Goal, identity, learn how to change forms at will. Okay, we also have to stop logging, hopefully without violence. We definitely failed there. That appears to still be a mission of ours, however. We need to help the forest, okay. People are scared of whatever connection my family to the forest. Well, we know why. Understand what connects you to the forest. I think it's obvious at this point. Interesting. Weird. I don't know. Okay. There's no denying it. I was no longer human. Wait a moment. A rite? Did you mention a rite? I raised an eyebrow. You mean magic is real? You're a werewolf. Do you even need to ask? We just stood there for a moment in silence. I was wondering how one usually learned that they were a werewolf. How come nobody knows about werewolves? Doesn't make any sense. It suddenly struck me. How come nobody knows werewolves exist? We protect the veil, was the answer. It's easy to convince humans with that supernatural doesn't exist. They already want to believe that, and the delirium helps. Poetic term for the false assumption the supernatural does not exist, which the delirium reinforces. Madness and memory loss suffered by humans who look upon a Garou in Krynos form. So I have, unlike the vampire backstory where Cain is cursed by God, cursed by Jehovah, and gains his powers from Lilith, who gained the powers from Lucifer, that turn him into a vampire and condemn him to the night and all that, and then he breeds the three antediluvians that breed the 13 tribes and whatever, and that's the lineage of the vampires. I do not know the history of the werewolves and how they all connect in and how they are protected by this or whatever. Delirium? I mean, delirium is in the medical condition, I asked, remembering something that I'd read about acute confusional states. What? I guess you could call it a neurological condition, Pat laughed. The thing is that a human mind cannot process seeing a Krynos. The moment they turn away, they forget. My guess is that they are so stressed that the experience never gets transferred to their long-term memory. I asked about Pat's story. I wouldn't take you for a werewolf, you know, I said to Pat. She snorted. Why? Well, because I met you about yesterday and I know nothing about you. I mean, this is probably not a good thing to say. Is she a tech nerd? We'll go with that. Sure, why not? I don't know. Is she a tech nerd or a poser? Like, what the fuck? You're kind of harmless. Sure, let's be honest and lose some reputation with her. Because you look mostly harmless, I admitted. She shrugged. I am. And I didn't expect to turn out a werewolf either. I was a student, happy with my tablet and coding, and then boom, I was a garou. How'd you meet Cornell? I was in his first pack. We were both hanging out with the hacktivist crowd back then. Then things went south and he disappeared. I found him. Ow. Pat rolled her eyes. Girl, please, I'm a tech nerd. So I found him and talked him into coming back. What the hell does that even mean? You're bullshit Hollywood hacker that could track down anyone, and then you found this werewolf that... I mean... It would make more sense that if she was part of his pack, she found him through werewolf senses or smelled him out or something. I realized something. Something important. The wolves had awoken. At some point, the rest of the party had awoken and joined us. The clearing was full of wolves. Well, fuck. Fight or flight? The wolves were closing in on me. I knew my next decision would have serious consequences. Deny and escape or accept and cooperate. I mean, sure. I mean, it's not like we're going to get very far. Although the forest... Would the forest protect me? The forest likes me. I don't think... I mean, we're stuck here. Like, this is the thing. Like, being a vampire, you're not going to really escape other vampires by running away, so... And werewolves can actually smell you and track you down, so we'll accept and cooperate with our current condition. Why not? Hiding the bodies. The headless body was heavy. They said that as my first kill, it was my burden. I didn't kill him! Olga killed him. She attacked him and tore out his goddamn throat. It was my duty to take it to the barrows. It was heavy in more ways than one. Guilt was eating at me, and I guess it was obvious. After the change, your hormones go haywire, and your neural pathways have to adapt rapidly, so your confusion is natural. Pat smiled sadly. I see us, the garou, as a struggling species. She and Kim accompanied me, carrying the severed head in a bag. The others stayed behind, covering the tracks. I had to tell them it wasn't my kill. About Cornell being my kill, I hesitated. I don't think it was me. Before the change, I saw a black and white werewolf at his throat. They looked at me concerned. There was a rivalry between them from the beginning, Pat admitted, and she has a temper even for a werewolf. She only tolerated him for the Pusha's sake. If she decided he was no longer useful... Kim sighed. We'll look into that, but first, the body. Just kept dragging the body. Kept dragging the body, getting more tired and more sweaty with every step. I guess I could change, sure. I mean, suddenly I knew what to do, and I'll change, but, like, why would I take the option that gives me a stat hit if I'm just going to change anyway? I understand lowering the rage so I don't make a damn fool of myself. Ooh. So we are currently a Hamid. We can become Glabro, which is strong enough to lift heavy things without breaking a sweat and intimidate, so we're, like... feral-looking-ish, kind of monstrous. We can go full Krynos, which is a war form, a ruthless killing machine. There's nothing subtle about that. A Hispo, which is a monstrous wolf. Smart, fast, heavy, and absolutely scary. Or a Lupus. Lupus is the wolf form, a majestic animal with all its advantages and limitations. Looks great on camera. Okay, let's go Glabro. the near-human form. The pain was stronger than I ever imagined. I felt my muscles spasm as they rearranged themselves. My jaw cracked and my mouth filled with blood. I clenched my fists and claws drove into my palms. I screamed. When I rose, panting and sweaty, I was more than human. I was glabro, wolfish, or glabro. I don't know what that word actually is. Wolfish, strong, and scary. And it hurt. I guess I found my place amongst them. The change hurt more than I expected. The world shifted. Not much, but enough. I felt my teeth get sharper and muscles stronger. I picked up the body. It was a lot lighter. We went on. At some point I realized we weren't alone. There were two shapes in the bushes on either side of the road. Animals. One big and gray, the other small, nimble, and white. Ah, my companion smiled. I see you've noticed our patrons. A spirit joined to a pack or tribe and representative of its inner nature. Patrons? I do not remember any animal from the dream, so patrons? Weasel and the wolf. Sorry, what now? Patrons, I asked. Yes, the spirits who help us fight our war. The two animals stopped in front of me in the middle of the path. We came here to teach the cub, said the wolf. She smelled of ash and tears. Was I hallucinating? I mean, we didn't ask that when I turned into a damn werewolf. I couldn't believe what I saw. It made no sense, unlike, turning into a werewolf. I felt as if my brain was short-circuiting, trying to interpret signals not meant for human senses. Was it really a wolf? My eyes told me there was a wolf staring at me, but when I looked at it, I felt ash on my tongue. I heard a mourning howl so deep it reverberated in my bones, and I smelled fire. And when it talked, it was like the rustling of leaves, formed words in my mind. It wouldn't leave me alone. But hallucinations or not, they just wouldn't leave me alone. The weasel circled me, and before I knew it, I could feel small claws on my leg, then on my back, then on my arm. It smelled of musk and electricity. Then it bit my ear. Why would you do that? Ow, I shouted. Why would you do that? To see how you react, obviously, the weasel's electronic voice echoed in my head. Electronic or electric? Enough, the wolf growled, or at least that was what my brain decided to hear. I felt the weasel draw its breath. In the beginning, there was Gaia, aka Mother Earth, and she gave birth to a mighty breed of warriors. Oh good, we're getting the backstory. The weasel began. It sounded electronical, like a teenager reading a Wikipedia page over a voice chat. I don't think that word means what you think it means. The earth, in both physical and spiritual sense. Okay. They were called Garo. That's werewolves in werewolfish. Oh my god, come on. And their sole purpose was to protect Gaia. They failed, wailed the wolf. Go on, Mr. Weasel? Why did they fail? I looked to the weasel for advice. When time began, Gaia released three primal forces upon the earth, the weaver, the wild, and the worm, the weasel continued. The wild was the untamed force of life and creation. The cold, ruthless weaver gave structure to the world, and the worm destroyed what needed to be destroyed, creating balance. Okay, so one thing I do remember coming across was that Cain is considered either part of the worm, a worm himself, or a servant of the worm. And I guess that's because of his lineage through Lucifer, at least his blood lineage through Lucifer once he got transformed. So are we creatures of the wild? I mean, technically, I think we're also... So, I think the worm, even though they seem to be like the bad guy, as described here, I think that it's sort of a balance. Like, we're part of each of them. Let's ask, are we creatures of the wild? So were werewolves creatures of the wild, I asked, an untamed force of life? They were Gaia's children, the werewolf snarled, born to herd and contain humans. Okay. What went wrong? I can see that something went wrong, I smiled wryly. The weaver grew too ambitious and trapped the worm within its lifeless web, the weasel answered. Confined and denied, the worm went slowly insane. The wolf wailed. Now Gaia is dying, choked by the weaver and eaten alive by the worm, wailed the wolf. And the wild is not the one who should fight, or you should fight, she snarled. You were born to protect it. Then it turned and led the way. Was I fighting the wild? Because I thought I was joining the protest to save it, and so far we're on good terms. It took us to the barrows. The barrows looked just as I remembered them, but somehow calmer, warm and welcoming. Kim kneeled near one of the mounds, put her hand on it, and wait, what, Kim? I thought we were with Pat. Put her hand on it and whispered a few words. I saw the ground open slowly, like a mouth in the earth. I sighed. Let's do this. Do what? I don't even know. God damn the writing. I'll leave my analysis until the end, as I usually do for series, but this feels more like movie writing, not novel writing. We put the body in the hole. We took the severed head and the body I'd wrapped up in sheets and put them in the hole. It closed slowly, and I could swear I heard the trees sigh in anticipation. The wolf howled, and I could feel the hair on my hands rise. Welcome to your new life, the talking white weasel grinned. We have something else to show you. Okay. Vision quest. You're a cub, so you have special privileges, said the weasel. Pushcha will grant you a vision. You must see to understand, said the wolf. Think carefully before you choose what to see. The future, the present, your family. Well, we do need to know a little bit more about the family. That is a goal. Understand what connects us to the forest. Find out a little bit more about the family. The forest recognized me. What's the connection? So I'm going to say, even though we have this here, and we have a mission to stop the logging, I feel like the overall... Okay, so we have a mission to stop the logging, which might be more here, but our overall goal, I feel, our mission in this game is to learn more about the family in the past, and maybe that would help a little bit somehow, I don't know. Okay. We'll travel to the barrows, which I think we probably are already on, but... The Tangled Paths. It was hard to find the barrows, although I knew where they were. When I looked behind me, the path had disappeared. I felt the Pushcha playing with me, twisting paths, blocking my way with bushes and dead trees, and then suddenly opening a new path that was straight and full of sunshine. But I pushed on. Determined, I pushed on. Since the change, I had become acutely aware of how my body worked, and I remembered what humans were good at. Running. We're still in Glabro form. How do I change that, by the way? I can't? I guess I have to be given the option. Oh, right, because it's a goal to learn how to do it on our own, right? We have to... Well, apparently we already did. We already got that when I changed the first time. So we learned how to change at will, and then now I don't have the ability to change at will. Okay, whatever. Stubborn, relentless, long-distance running. Not as fast as a deer, not as nimble as a wolf, but steady and without rest. So I ran. Then I was there. The barrows. I climbed the nearest hill. When I was at the top, I stumbled on something, a shape in the grass, a skull watching me from its bleached eye sockets, and I touched it. Because that's what you do. A buried past. There's a swirl. It starts deep within me, and then it expands. Everything is in motion, and there is no center anymore. I guess I see a village, huh? There's a village in the forest, and there's a howl of a wolf. People stop and look around, frightened. The howl is like a keen. The houses are mere huts. There is almost nothing that protects the people from the forest. Their clothes are rags, their feet are bare, their hair and long beards are unkempt. There are wolf cubs. Then there's blood. Then the howling begins, the mournful, blood-curdling keen of a mother who has lost her children. Watch, whispers the voice in my head. Watch and remember. But I want to act. I cannot just stand by and watch. I want to act. I draw glyphs with the wolf cub's blood, and I pray for retribution. The forest listens to me. The forest wakes up, erupts with rage, and powerful furred bodies surge through the trees toward the village. The humans try to escape. They scream and beg for mercy. They try to protect themselves with fire. I take the fire from their hands. The Garou rise up, their talons red with blood, their eyes glazed with fury, and the fire is yanked from the hands of the villagers. They burn their houses. The houses start to burn. I make the wolf mother happy. The keening turns into a howl of joy. I am the Garou. The Garou have my eyes, my face. They are my family. I am the blood of their blood. And I do it again. Then it happens again. The humans return. They rebuild the village, this time stronger and better protected. The keening begins once more. And we, the Garou, come down on them like wolves on the fold. Okay, and again. And again. New villages, new fires, more blood. Well, the last time we went full tilt into this, we ended up apparently killing somebody we weren't meant to, but I don't think it was... It's not our fault. I don't know. Let's maybe stop? I don't want to do this anymore. But the keening begins again. Okay, so we have no choice. Great. My heart fills with grief and rage and villages burn. Till one day, there is only one Garou left in the family, and he slays his own kindred in a fit of his first rage. I guess I know him? He is young, but I recognize someone in him. An old man I know. He used to tell me stories about the forest before my mother took me away. I can't move. I stay there and I watch, but I can't move. My throat burns, my stomach is in knots. I want to scream, but I have no mouth. I think that's the opposite of title. I feel the fire, I smell the blood. I smell ash and tears. I see the large ash-gray wolf looking straight at me. Her eyes are golden. She weeps. It is what the Pushtya wants, she says to me. It is your duty. It is you. Come with me, child. Be my fangs and claws. There is no one else to be my cub. Come to me, child. I will nurse you and I will lick your wounds. We will kill together. We will feast and we will be merry. The forest will grow. I looked at her. And perhaps for the first time I saw her for who she was. Her pelt was marred with fire. Her eyes were smoking embers. Ash was falling from her heaving hands. Ash was falling from her heaving flanks. She looked old, ancient, sad and alone. She was Kazan's mother. Mourning her stolen cubs, howling in the woods, waiting for a response that never came. But she was more than that. She was also the Pushtya. She was also the spirit of the forest, the Pushtya herself, wounded, hurt, violated, and mourning all her children that humans had killed. At least that was what I thought when I looked at her. The wolf mother looked back at me, and something in her eyes made me realize that she was trying to tell me what the Pushtya wanted from me. Join me, she pleaded. Only you can understand me. Only you. All right. I went to her, and she accepted me. And I accepted myself. My family was serving the wolf mother. We must stop the logging at any cost. I finally understood who I was. Darkness fell again, and the bloody tide was loosed upon the world. Darkness. One of us. A lone howl pierced the silence like a single ray of moonlight in the darkness. Then there was another one, and then another, and then another. A choir of voices, triumphant and joyful. I opened my eyes. When I opened my eyes, I was in a clearing. Around me there were wolves, huge, monstrous wolves, howling at the moon. Alright, let's join them. Why not? We got high rage. I was Hispel, the monstrous wolf form. Instinctively I changed and joined the choir. My voice was unsteady at first, but soon I found my own note, a unique addition to the chorus. Good, you're almost ready now, said Olga, looking at me impatiently. Welcome to the Sept. Sept, whatever that meant. Okay, just so you know, I said slowly, I have no idea what a sept is. We live in packs, Olga explained, and when packs unite to fight a common enemy, they form a sept. There were 2 packs there. I realized there must be at least 2 packs there. So, Cornell's friends, I guess. Daniel, Pat. We seem to be on better relations with Pat. at the moment. She's friendly. Daniel's sympathetic. Daniel was always kind of skittish, though, so let's look at Pat, because we need a friend, and Olga is probably someone we're going to have to kill by the end here. A young and black wolf changed into Pat, and Kim turned out to be the other one. We are all that's left of the winter weasel pack, said Kim. The white shadow settled on Pat's shoulder. I smelled musk and electricity. Looked at Daniel. Hi, Maia, said one of the wolves, changing into Daniel. He looked more real as a wolf. Confident and relaxed. Olga and Lisa also stood... Who the hell is Lisa? Stood up, human-looking again, their clothes rumpled. Okay, that's a neat trick. I didn't realize that werewolves also morphed their clothing. We are the pack of the morning wolf mother, said Olga. They smelled of ash and tears, and for a moment I saw the wolf spirit among them. We are all Gaia's warriors, said Olga, in that we have no choice, but we choose friends who will stand by our side. Why the animal spirits? Does every pack have an animal spirit, I asked. How does that work? Such spirits are called patrons, and not all are animals, Lisa explained. And our pacts with them give us additional weapons with which to fight the sickness and corrupt the worm, and the corruption of the worm. The last word reeked of decay and burning oil. I have questions. Shook my head. How do the spirits work? What about the spirits, I asked. How does that work? The world casts a shadow, and we call it the umbra, said Lisa, and in the shadow, every living creature, every emotion and idea, every important object exists as a spirit. That's all you need to know at the moment. And the moon? Why did I hear the moon whispering to me, I asked. Luna gave us rage. That is why she's important, Olga said, and that is why you'll never be able to touch silver again. Was every sept this diverse? You are from all over Europe, I noticed. Is this like a standard for a sept? I looked at Olga. I didn't even know if that was a stupid question or a smart one. I looked at Olga. Normally the tribes keep to themselves, Olga grimaced, but we are in a desperate situation and had to form rather unorthodox alliances. There are at least a dozen tribes, Daniels interrupted. I think there's actually 13, what I remember reading. And I hope, Maia, that you will choose yours wisely. Do I have to join a pack? Just to make sure. No Garou can survive on their own, Pat grinned. But in a pack we are unstoppable. Besides, your whole neural and hormonal system have changed, and without a pack you'll just wither away and die. I summed it up. So if I got all this right, I've been conscripted into an ancient war against the worm, I said slowly, trying to put it all together. And the moon gave me rage as a weapon, but I must avoid silver. I took a breath. And there's a whole secret world of spirits, I continued, and I have to join a pack and choose a tribe. Exactly, Lisa nodded. As for the tribe, there's only one person who can mentor you now that Cornell's dead. Olga is from the Black Furies, an ancient tribe of women warriors. Strong, save Gaia. Okay, I think that should also be a part of this. This is a motto. Strong, save Gaia, fuck patriarchy vibes. Oh. Strong, save... Okay, this... Just put a damn quote in there. Strong, save Gaia, fuck patriarchy vibes. Okay. What about my family's tribe? The Shadow of Fenris. What about my family's tribe, I asked. Lisa winced. Daniel sighed. Olga shook her head. What's the matter? Your ancestors were the Get of Fenris, and no one here wants to have anything to do with that tribe, Kim bared her fangs. They stand against everything we believe in. My grandpa had nothing to do with that. I guess. My grandfather didn't even know you, I was outraged. You can't judge me by his tribe's actions. You know that your family was burning villages for centuries, Lisa pointed out. Did you ever wonder why? Did I know that? I mean, aside from the vision, this is the first time that's been explicitly stated. Get of Fenris. Okay, let's see what this actually is. A tribe of werewolf supremacists. Oh. Who celebrate the destruction of the human world that Father Fenrir promises a Ragnarok. Antagonistic to other tribes to the extent that some whisper of worm taint. Hated and distrusted. So why the hell are they trying to get me to join them? Many see them as another enemy of the War of the Apocalypse. Get of Fenris are the most radical Garo supremacists that ever marred the face of Earth, Kim scoffed, like legit fascist werewolves. Some of them literally worked for Hitler. I had the right to know my legacy. Thank you for telling me, I said. I had the right to learn about where I came from. For a moment, we were all silent. I need to know more about the tribes. I wanted to learn more about the tribes and find an option that would really resonate with who I was. So, I mean, probably Daniel, I would say. Like, Pat would probably tell me since we're friendly, but I feel like since she's apparently a youngin', Daniel would probably tell me more. Maybe. Maybe Kim? I talked to Daniel. We already know him. Talk with Daniel. I asked Daniel if I could join his tribe. No, I didn't! But he didn't understand the question. I'm a Red Talon, he said, as if that explained everything. Red Talons were born exclusively from wild wolves. Most of them hate every human alive for their millennia-long war against predators and wolves all over the planet. The other tribes hate them because they don't compromise and are blind to the suffering of the human half of the Garo. Okay. So what exactly are the Red Talons? I mean, it's kind of redundant to be doing this, but sure, let's... It's the tribe of the Garo who are born as wolves, Daniel explained. We usually don't mix with others, and we kill humans. But since I'm the only one here, I decided that it was better to join the rest. Okay, but why? He looked at me as if I were stupid. Are you stupid? He asked a second later. There's always strength in numbers. I protect my folk better when there are more werewolves around. Werfolk? Wolves. Okay, that's all I think I need from you then. But we could also ask about the Wolf Mother, I suppose. The Morning Wolf Mother. Daniel fell silent for a moment. She is Kazan's mother. She became a spirit after his death. I knew she was older than that. It's impossible, I said. She must be older. Much, much older. Daniel looked up and then shrugged. If you say so, he answered. I still like her. She knows what it means to be a wolf. Right, I think that's all I need. Thanks, that's all I wanted from him. So let's talk with Pat then, I guess. Pat was a glasswalker, and her tribe was finding its niche in cutting-edge technological cityscapes among the strands of the weaver's net. It sounded intriguing. We talked for a while. Glasswalkers, an adaptable tribe of urban human lovers who worship the weaver, or at least freely use its tools to fight the worm, aided by other tribes for their willingness to abandon the old ways and embrace the tools of the enemy. The weaver is a manifestation and symbol of order and pattern, okay? Ooh, well, I think we know what she's doing in the forest. We've apparently all been called here. How'd you get a spirit patron anyway? How did you get Winter Weasel to be your patron? I was curious. I caught it, said Pat, or rather I made sure it would have more to eat with me than alone. That's how you catch weasels. Was it a forest spirit? But it is a forest spirit, isn't it? I think it's a weasel, so it gets accustomed to live where there is food, and right now it's the city. It hunts electricity spirits these days and feasts on them. Okay, so how'd you get up in the forest here? Basically a city dweller, I observed. All glasswalkers are. It's our natural habitat. I feel quite out of place in the forest. Okay, that got my interest. Is it a tribe thing? I asked, interested. That's what it is, she nodded. We use the weaver to fight the worm, and the forest is not the weaver's domain. But I happen to be quite fond of humanity. They have great potential. I had to think it over. Finally, I stopped asking. I had to think over what I'd learned. Okay, well, apparently we know Kim, so let's get everyone's perspective, why not? Kim told me a lot about bone gnars, urban werewolves fighting for the disadvantaged and the marginalized, children of the rat. Bone gnars stand for the rights of the poor and disenfranchised everywhere, making homes in favelas, squats, and camps. Hated by other tribes because, God, I think all the tribes hate each other. That's what I'm getting here. Hated by other tribes because they act like tame dogs, eating the scraps off human tables. Okay, do you really have a rat? Why would we do this option when it seems like we're going to get there anyway, even if it's a more roundabout way? Did you really have a rat as a patron? Sure we do, Kim answered. It's a very good patron, resilient. You want to be like a rat, always managing, always afloat. They kept talking. And this shit here, they gestured around, this shit comes from prejudice, and from exclusion, from greed. Take greed and prejudice away and 90% of the world's problems are solved. Sighed heavily. Now, tell it to the other Garo, and they look down at you because because you are a bone gnawer, and they think they are superior. Prejudice, prejudice everywhere. Alright, well, let's expend a little willpower to talk to Lisa. Apparently this is going to be a strenuous thing because she's cautious. We've never met her until now, anyway. I asked Lisa about her tribe, but she inherited her Sibarak. Okay, she inherited her Sibarak legacy from her Buryat grandfather. Their hate, sorrow, and rage are deeper than any other tribes because their icy Siberian homeland is melting and decaying. Now, they are despised by other tribes as half-breed loners who care only for themselves. She said I didn't know the proper legends, customs, and cultures to join her. Okay. So is Sibarak a Russian word? I guess it would be like as in Siberia, Sibarak. Sibarak. Sibarak, I mean, you're from Siberia. I hesitated and Lisa smirked. But the tribe name reminds me of something. Yes. Oh, fuck me. And you're not going to give me the Polish interpretation of this one. Sibarak, she pronounced it differently, so it sounded like a Polish word. But wasn't the word Russian? I don't know. Why are you saying it that way, I asked. I thought the word was Russian. In Russian, it means someone from Siberia, but in Polish it has its own very specific meaning, Lisa explained. It's a word for political prisoners exiled to Siberia, and there were tens of thousands of them. So why are you using the name? Probably because of a legacy from... Even if it has such a loaded meaning, I couldn't understand. My tribe name describes both of my legacies. My granny was a political exile, and my grandpa was a Siberian indigenous. I use it because it speaks the truth. Okay, how'd you become a werewolf? My grandpa saw that I had a soul of a wolf and started teaching me about the spirit world. She looked at me with her violet eyes. When the time was right, he guided me through the change. I don't remember my grandpa. My grandpa was telling me stories, I sighed, but I forgot most of them. I forgot how he looked. You remember more than you realize, Lisa said. How else would you know the high tongue? The high tongue is the language of the Garo. It depends on as much body language and tone as actual words. Much of it is instinctive, accented by pheromones, growls, and whines. Now, that's a good question. Well, I don't really want to expend this willpower, since it lowers my options for when it actually might matter, so that's all I want from her. I didn't want to talk anymore. I was too exhausted to bug them further about personal questions. There are a lot of werewolves there. One thing is bugging me, I said. Why are there so many of you here? Suddenly everyone in Białowieża is a werewolf, or what? You know nothing, cub, Olga laughed bitterly. A mere century ago there were dozens of packs in these forests. But none of the old guard survived the 90s, Lisa shook her head. We had to start from scratch. Not counting you, there are only 5 of us, and only 3 local, Pat pointed out. Barely enough for 1 pack. This goes against there are a lot of werewolves here. Anyway, before you're admitted to a tribe, you need to prove yourself. What now? Prove myself? I was shocked. Hadn't I proven myself enough already? The Rite of Passage. You went through your first change, Pat said. She was leaning on a tree nearby, and you know everything you need to know at the moment. But you have to go through the Rite of Passage, Daniel rubbed against my flank, excited. I hope he's in wolf... Oh, we are... Well, I am in wolf form, so okay. Fair enough. Otherwise, it's just kind of weird. A vision quest, Kim winked at me. And since we don't have time for tests, we need you to solve a real problem, Olga stepped in. Namely, we want you to find a way of ending this logging problem, Lisa wrapped it up. So how would you like to do it? It's amazing to me that I, as an outsider from... I mean, okay, I've got a family history here that I barely know anything about. I just show up and suddenly they're like, you, be a leader. I don't have any points in leadership. And I'm a little bit of inspiring, but like, I'm not a leader here. They all looked at me in anticipation and I took my time thinking. I have high rage, so I took my time enjoying the moment. My body was buzzing with energy, ready to shift shape on the slightest sign of danger. My mind was clear. I knew what to do. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Well, I am far more spiritual. I do have high rage, but I am far more spiritual here, so I think I have a better chance talking to the spirits. We need to work with the spirits to succeed, I decided. Make the forest itself turn against the loggers. Pat sighed. I know what Cornell would say, Pat sighed. We should find and neutralize local forces behind the logging. But I think, she continued, that we should create a diversion. There are too little of us for a direct confrontation with the loggers. So why the hell I am suggesting that we find allies with the forest itself, and you're rolling your eyes? This is a forced dialogue. Like, if I had said, we need to fight back, this would make sense. This doesn't make sense here. Continue with my plan. I'll talk to the spirits and see what they can do to help us, I continued. If nature itself destroys the loggers' equipment, there's no one to blame. Lisa looked thoughtful. I'll introduce you to the spirits you need to talk to. Sorry, I think this is probably coming up on the mic. It's my cord rubbing against my chair. Daniel beamed, spoken like a true turge. As in a thaumaturge. Those born under the crescent moon are mystics and seers dealing with spirits, interpreting visions and omens. You were born under a crescent moon, weren't you, Maia? Amazingly, we got born under a full moon. They suddenly just turned that way. How did he know? I looked at him surprised. How did he know? Okay, I guess born, not turned. Mom always told me that when she gave birth to me. She saw the crescent moon through the window, sharper and brighter than ever before. I nodded. We are a shaman, okay? Because of my high spirituality. So this apparently turned. We lost all this, and it became something else. We are now heading towards wisdom. Garou born under the crescent moon are shamans and healers, said Lisa, just like you and me. A worthy turge always acts with wisdom, added Olga. Your place in werewolf society will be determined by your renown. You can earn glory through defeating mighty enemies and succeeding at dangerous quests. You can earn honor by following your moral imperative and upholding laws of the Garou. You can earn wisdom by acting efficiently and thinking well before you act. Your renown will change as you play, contributing to Maia's legend among the Garou. Okay, so I need to therefore be more concerned with my thought processes. Being a turge. No pressure at all. Felt overwhelmed. Olga must have sensed my confusion, or smelled it, or whatever. Come on, we have a lot to discuss, she patted my shoulder. We have to find your phone and wallet. So I followed her. I thought What's-Her-Face was going to take me under her wing to tell me about the spirits. We're probably about to have a confrontation here about, listen, I'm the alpha. I had to tie up loose ends in my old life. Back to the beginning. Okay. Definitely a place to end upon. I probably should have done so. We have not ended a chapter, so I've been going a little bit longer than usual. I do not know how much longer this game has. When you are on the title screen, it helpfully tells you what percentage of the game you've been through, and at the beginning of the third episode, I was at 40%. So at this point, I have no idea. It seems, though, like we just opened up a whole new mechanic to the game, which makes me wonder. I was thinking this would be a pretty short game, but it seems like maybe it's not that short. I don't know. Anyway, time to end this here. I will see you next time.